Hey everybody, Dan with Pain Free You. We got a warm one today. No breeze, no rain. It's in the right around 80, and unfortunately the cottage is hot. So today's topic is going to be this. It's a question I get pretty often. Do I need to figure out the meaning or the message behind the pain or symptoms? I'll get to that in a second. Let you enjoy the beautiful lake. It's gorgeous. All right, so do I have to figure out the meaning or the message behind the symptoms? And my first answer is no. No. We can come up with all sorts of ideas as to what the pain or the symptoms means about our lives. And I think that just ends up turning into kind of looking for the needle in the haystack, saying, well, I can't get better unless I figure out the meaning of the symptoms. I don't believe that's true. I think at the highest of high levels, there might be a meaning somewhere in there. And if it's not obvious, then I don't know that we need to spend a lot of time looking for it. Because even if you can find a meaning that tends to make logical sense, like, yeah, I could see that, what do you do with that information? How does that convey to your brain that you're safe? For some people, foot pain. Oh, yeah, you're not moving forward in life, so the foot pain is stopping you. Headaches. Somebody in your life makes your head want to explode. Back pain. You've got the weight of the world on your back. Okay, now what? What do we do with that? Right? At the highest level, the root cause of symptoms, in my view, is when the brain perceives danger. Solution, safety. And how does deciding that your spouse makes your head want to explode, creating safety and helping the headaches or whatever's going away to go away? I'm not sure it does. As a matter of fact, it can sometimes create a situation where we're now blaming the other person for your symptoms. Now, there are cases where it's obvious, cases of, obvious abuse, neglect, disrespect, those types of things. And if you're in that type of environment, I think what I'll suggest is separate symptom abatement from the situation you're in and ask yourself, if I were feeling great, would I be with this person or in this situation? If the answer is no, then you've got an answer as to whether or not you should get out of that situation, right? But if the answer is yes, I would stay with this person, I just want to get rid of the symptoms, so maybe I need to leave my relationship to get better. I've had people say, oh, do I need to move to Florida to get better? I don't know. Would you move to Florida if you were feeling good already? No. Okay, then why move to Florida now? Moving, ending relationships. If it's the right thing to do, regardless of symptoms, then that's different. But if you think that taking this action because you found some supposed meaning or message behind your symptoms that says you should be in Florida, what if you're wrong? Because you go down there and you still believe I got a bad back. How is moving to Florida going to change that, right? So I think we can really get stuck in this circle of looking for the meaning or the message. And if it's not obvious and it differs from how you would behave and what you would do if you were feeling great, then I don't know that the meaning or message you find is curative. I don't know that it's going to give you the benefit. And we can look and look and look. And here's the challenge with deciding, I need to find the meaning or the message. Let's say you find some things that make sense logically. Yeah, I get it. But if you still have the symptoms, you're going to convince yourself maybe that's not the meaning. Maybe there really is a deeper meaning that I need to look for. And we can spend days, weeks, months, years, decades looking for the meaning behind our symptoms when in fact Maybe we don't need to be that detailed. Maybe all we got to do is recognize the meaning is that my brain is perceiving danger. I've been on high alert for a long time. And the meaning is you need to convey safety in the present. And I think spending an awful lot of time looking for or searching for this magical meaning that once you find it, supposedly the symptoms are going to go, I think it's sometimes an exercise in futility. And I say this because I did that for a while. I journaled, I wrote down meanings. What does this mean? What does that mean? You know, I never really got anywhere with that approach. And I'll also say, equally so, for the belief that you have to go find the repressed emotions that are causing your symptoms. Now look, there's value in acknowledging our emotions and teaching the brain that emotions are safe. But sometimes if you think, okay, I've got a repressed emotion locked away somewhere, I need to journal it out or therapy it out or think about it and find that long-lost repressed emotion in order to get better. Same scenario, you know. How do you know that is going to be curative? Because I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and I have yet to say or find somebody who told me, Dan, you know what? I did some deep digging with my therapist or journaling or whatever, and I found it. I found that long-lost emotion from 3rd grade, and poof, all my symptoms went away. I've yet to hear that story. And if you've heard that story, please share it with me, because I haven't seen it, right? And the same thing holds true with looking for a repressed emotion as it does looking for that meaning or message behind the symptoms. Because as long as you think there's a repressed emotion you got to find and deal with or release or something in order to get better, as long as you have symptoms, you're going to convince yourself, I can't find it. There must be something else. What if there's something else deeper and darker I don't even know about? How am I supposed to get better without being able to find that? And now all of a sudden you are getting more into despair because you're now concerned that, wow, if I don't find this, I'm in trouble. I'm never getting better. Well, what if that's a false belief and you don't need to find some long-lost repressed emotion from some long-lost trauma? I tried all that stuff. I journaled for 6 months straight, dug up everything I could possibly think of. I drilled into my memory bank so deeply, I was finding stuff that I haven't even been upset with since 3rd grade, 10 years old, 15 years old. Things I barely remembered that if I just worked and I found stuff, I found all sorts of reasons to get upset about my past. 6 months in, I got so depressed from writing about everything that was wrong with my life, my past and present, that I worked myself into a depression. I finally had to throw away the journal and say no more, because I never found the answer. I never found the meaning or the message or the repressed emotion. And all it did was really send me on this wild goose chase looking for something that likely was not part of the problem. I had a brain that was scared. Now look, I did have some stressors that were in place when my symptoms started. I knew about that. And I discovered that it was not curative, because by the time I started doing all that work, journaling, the introspection about what was going on in my life, my brain had already decided, we got a bad back, got to be careful, don't bend over, don't do this, don't do that. So oftentimes, the reason symptoms started has nothing to do with them continuing today. So spending an awful lot of time looking for some long-lost, repressed emotion, meaning, or message behind the symptoms, you might be on a wild goose chase, digging deep into a hole that's got no solutions at the bottom. So focus on safety. The meaning of symptoms is that your brain is perceiving danger. And some people will say, but how do I figure out the danger? Sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes it's not. Don't spend a lot of time looking for the danger that's keeping your symptoms going. Sometimes it's the focus and the fear on the symptoms themselves that's keeping them going. Once again, what started them may have nothing to do with why they persist. So focus on safety, because the root cause is a brain on high alert, perceiving danger and turning on symptoms as false alarms and warnings to get your attention, to say something's going on we don't like. What if it could be that simple? I believe it is. Let's simplify this, folks, instead of overly complicating it. Because I did the complicated for a long time and never got anywhere with it. That was not part of my solution. So I hope this makes sense. Hope you're all doing fantastic. I'll let you take a peek at the lake. Got my kayak over there, floating in the water, getting ready for me to climb back on, paddle around the lake a little bit more before I go to sleep. So, love you folks, and as always, we will see you tomorrow. Take care.